So a bit more than 12 hours ago, a Twitter account called Captain Biggalow shared 3 images and a short video of an alleged blue spherical UAP captured over and close to the ground at Manchester Airport. It is intriguing footage and I want to look at it with you guys in today's video, analyze it, make sense of it, and highlight a bunch of red flags, because there are quite a few of it. But let's start by looking at the account itself. Again, the guy was called Captain Biggalow. I was still lucky enough to read the original conversations that he had with people replying to his post and his footage, because his account got deleted shortly thereafter. When people asked him details about the footage, he admitted that he did not shoot the film himself. He said that these images and the film were shared with him via airdrop by a colleague of his. So again, he's not the original author of this content. And he also stated that the footage has been shot within the past few months. Okay, so it's not been shot in the last 12 hours or yesterday. It has been shot within the past few months. Judging from the weather, a few people were suggesting it was probably June, right? It's a lovely June in Manchester. Because quite a few people have been pointing out that for the past week we had various sightings of drones over all kinds of RAF bases in and around England. So people are making these connections, right? People are like, well, there's some kind of sphere hovering at Manchester Airport and we have these drones over RAF bases. It must be the same thing. Well, it's probably not, because again, this is months old. But we don't know. We don't know an exact date. We don't know when this was filmed. And I guess this is his attempt to stay anonymous, to not reveal the identity of his colleague. And in the vein of that, we also have no metadata around the images, so we don't know, again, where it was shot, any circumstances. It kind of all stays shrouded in mystery. But let's look at the footage, the film, as well as the images that this person shared at the time. The clip is very short, it's only 12 seconds. Let's take a quick look. So very clearly it's been shot from the cockpit of an airplane. That's undeniable. You see, the brake fan down here. You see the instruments in the front. It's definitely filmed from a cockpit. You can see the other airplanes queuing here. The guy was clearly in taxi mode, right? He was getting to take off, presumably, or just landed and trying to get his parking position or something. But looking at the footage, all we can really see is a seemingly black object hovering in the sky. It doesn't make any irrational maneuvers. It doesn't tick any of those boxes. Also, it seems to be not completely stationary. Again, this can be almost the parallax effect of these water droplets moving in relation to the object. So it gives the illusion of the object ever so slightly moving. But I look at this and to me it looks almost like it's slightly moving in the wind, with the wind. There's a short moment there at seconds 6, 7 or something where it feels like the object is moving slightly to the right-hand side. But again, this is just me interpreting the footage. We can't really tell if the object was perfectly stationary or was slightly moving. Along with this film came 3 images, and they're not great, as we are used to by now when it comes to UFO photography. This is the first image we got, and you can zoom in. It's very, very blurry. This is the second image, and again, it's focused on the water droplets on the windshield of the cockpit, so we can't see anything. And then there's this image, okay? And at least this one is somewhat sharp. So here we can see this bluish object hovering just maybe a foot or two above the tarmac. At least that's how it looks, judging from this. And the internet has been busy analyzing this photo, enhancing it, trying to get as much information as they can out of it. And here is an enhanced version that I found on Reddit of the object. And it is somewhat intriguing, right? Because it is, first of all, not perfectly spherical. Seems to be somewhat egg-shaped. And then there is some kind of slab here that protrudes above the actual object, almost like a belt or some ribbon or something that sits around it. Do you see that? Now, what I noticed immediately is that this seems somehow off, right? This image does not seem right. I mean, I understand this is enhanced and maybe we should look at the original image, but still there's something that doesn't look right about this footage. I don't know whether it's the color, the depth, the shadow, the reflection in the ground. Something doesn't feel right. But anyway, I think the film looks real. Okay, whatever is in the sky here was probably in the sky at the moment when this person filmed it. Not to say that you can't fake this, right? But it does look somewhat real to me. However, this photo, I don't know, man. I mean, you can always make the argument and say, well, it's aliens, right? So you don't know how an alien ship looks, and that's why it looks off, because it's cool alien technology. But to me, these images don't look real. The film looks real, but the photos give me somewhat of a hiccup. And beyond that, there's just a bunch of red flags that I want to highlight to you guys that sit around this sighting. First of all, the account, this Captain Biggalow guy, was just a few days old. And it very much looked like he created this account only to post these images. Also, as Metabunk user Flaky kindly pointed out, this account was following various UAP related accounts. You can kind of see people like Ross Coulthard and so on here. And he posted the images and his film using these hashtags. I mean, this was the original post. Manchester Airport UAP sighting from inside the cockpit. Hashtag UAP, UAP hearing, UFO disclosure and orb. And it's like, come on, man. Like a Twitter account of an alleged airplane captain using hashtag disclosure, following people like Ross Coulthard. I don't know, man. I'm not saying it's impossible, but as someone, I said this before, right? My dad used to be a commercial airplane pilot for like 45 years, and I know a bunch of pilots. They're not people, usually, who post stuff like this. You know, hashtag disclosure, hashtag UAP hearing. Dude, it doesn't sit right with me. It feels much more like this is some kind of setup account that someone created that is part of the UAP scene of the believer community, and he or she just wanted to create this account, calling it Captain Biggalow, to gain a bit more credibility and to give more context. But I don't know. This is just me speculating. As we know, this account has now been deleted. In another tweet replying to someone else asking the question, this account also claimed that the object descended vertically in 50 knots of wind. He claims it was the size of a small car and it hovered perfectly stationary a few feet off the ground. Air traffic control sent out an ops vehicle. As the vehicle approached the object, it took off vertically. And I'm like, wait a second. So if that really happened, right? So here's this sphere, mysterious, nobody knows what it is. It's hovering over the tarmac at this airport. And by the way, someone created this GIF that you see here, connecting those two images that we have, the blurry one and the slightly sharper one, repositioning or, aligning the position of the other aircraft and stuff, trying to make sense of it. And you can actually see that the sphere is somewhat moving. The guy claims it was sitting perfectly stationary. This looks more like two images of something, I don't know, that might be blowing over the tarmac by the wind or something like this. But again, that's just me interpreting these two images. But if what Captain Biggalow describes here really happened, right, that it was sitting perfectly stationary above the tarmac at 50 knots of wind and then it descended vertically up in the air after a vehicle approached it, I'm just saying, like, why is there no film of that? If you're sitting in your airplane, right, and you're waiting in the queue with other airplanes, and this stuff happens in front of you, I mean, you see this car approaching the sphere that allegedly sits there, perfectly stationary, bro, get your phone out. Film it. What are you doing? Instead, we only get like two blurry images and a short 12-second video of this thing hovering above the... Like, why don't you film after this vehicle got closer to it? I mean, if you're someone who is a pilot, you're clearly fascinated by aviation and things like that, and here's this sphere ascending perfectly straight in 50 knots of wind, bro, why are you not filming it? It makes absolutely no sense, especially in the context of you seeing a vehicle approaching it. Like, you got plenty of times like, oh, the vehicle's getting close to it, let's film that. But instead we have nothing. We have nothing except the claim of this mysterious Twitter account that was created 2 days ago, did nothing but post these videos and images, followed a bunch of UAP related accounts, and is now deleted. And it's like, there's no bigger example of trust me bro than this. And then there's the discrepancy that I briefly mentioned earlier, that this sphere, when you look at it here in this enhanced version, just doesn't match the background. It seems off. The colors are way brighter than anything you see in the background. It's really vivid. The noise of the image compared to the sphere also seems to be off. The noise that you find in all the rest of the image when you compare it to this area here. So that doesn't sit right with me as well. Also, very important to mention that in this conversation that the alleged Captain Biggalow had with people asking him questions before his account got deleted, he mentioned that the airport was not shut down and no flights were delayed because of this. Now, that is highly unusual, okay? Because airports have a very itchy trigger finger when it comes to shutting down the airport and delaying flights over just the tiniest risk of safety. Even if there would be a balloon or any object just floating and flying over the tarmac towards the runway, airports get shut down. And I mean, we had the famous Gatwick Airport drone incident where just 1 or 2 drones were spotted close to the runway at Gatwick Airport and hundreds of flights were delayed because it poses a potential risk. You know, if a drone or even if a bigger balloon would be sucked in by an airplane engine, This can cause millions in damage, delay flights, and pose security risks. What if the engine catches fire because of something like this? So airports are very, very sensitive to anything, any unusual object being close to the tarmac and the runway. And they would most definitely shut the airport down. But here's Captain Biggalow saying, well, that didn't happen. Nothing was delayed. Nothing was shut down. Which, I mean, considering that what he says is true, that there is this object that is like approached by an ops vehicle and then ascends perfectly straight up into the air at 50 knots wind, it's like there's almost no bigger reason than to shut everything down at this point, right? We don't know what this is. If it ascends in a controlled manner straight up into the air at 50 knots wind, it's clearly some kind of intelligently controlled vehicle. Whatever it is, whether it's a drone or, we don't know, but like, let's shut the party down. Nothing is taking off or going anywhere. We want to find out what this is, and before we find that out, we're stopping all operation. That would be the logical thing to do for any airport, but they didn't do it. So considering all these aspects, I don't think this is anything very unusual. I can't put my finger on, as I kind of teased in the very beginning, on what exactly it is. Is it a balloon? Is it a drone? Because there are orb-shaped drones, that is a thing. We do know that governments and the military with that is heavily invested in like spherical drones. That's absolutely a thing. I've shown videos of that in the past. And I mean, what you see here is a 13-year-old video. Okay, so this stuff has been floating around, no pun intended, for quite some time. It's a real thing. But again, I have my doubts that what we're looking at here is a drone. And I doubt that what Captain Biggalow said, that the drone actually descended in 50 knots wind perfectly straight to the ground. I doubt that is true because, again, the airport shutting down, delaying flights because of something is the logical step. We haven't heard anything like that. So it's unlikely to me that it's a drone. I think it is as simple as it being a balloon. You can find balloons like this one, for example, that is somewhat similar. The ribbon type effect I described earlier could just be an artifact of the movement of the reflection of the balloon. Looking at this image, it would be a fairly big balloon, admittedly, but him saying it's the size of a small car also seems unlikely to me. But again, that is very hard to judge from an image like that, the actual size of this balloon. So looking at all this in the bigger picture, to me, again, this just seems to be like another nothing burger. There's nothing really here. And just because there is a bluish spherical object somewhat flying across the tarmac at Manchester Airport doesn't mean here we have intelligent life from outer space. You know what I mean? These are two very different things, and people connect these dots and jump through these logical hoops as they always do. So to me, I can't really put my finger on what it is. These are my theories. These are my thoughts I have on the case, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And please don't hold back. You can very much disagree with me. If you think this is aliens, leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Give any additional reasoning. Maybe I've missed certain points that I didn't share in this video. Please put any of your thoughts or additions down in the comment section. I would greatly appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed this little video. Even we couldn't give it the debunk stamp, right? Real shame. But if there's follow-up to it, maybe later on, because it is just 12 hours ago that all this basically was published. Maybe we get more information later down the road, then I'll certainly do some kind of update video on it. I hope you enjoyed this little breakdown. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button. I would greatly appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel for more. Join our Discord for ongoing conversations about UAPs, video games, anything you want. Maybe also talking about video games, join my brand new video game channel. I just launched it. We desperately need subscribers. The link is in the description. It's called Monkey Games. So if you're into video games, please, I hope to see you over there. We desperately need subscribers, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm out. Bye.